Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the News Today edition for 21st of March. And my name is Anuj. I will be taking today's session. In today's session, we will be covering 4 main news and 7 quick update and 1 personality in news. In the first main news, we will be covering about mangroves as Supreme Court has upheld the mangroves removal for the Warsaw Bander Coastal Road. Then we will be covering about the MSMEs as the role of MSMEs in the defense sector of India is increasing. Then we will be covering about the illegal gambling as government has blocked 300 illegal gambling and betting websites and apps. Then we will be covering about the microfinance institutions as government has launched credit guarantee scheme for microfinance institution 2.0. So these are the main news that we will be covering in the today's session. Then we will be covering 7 quick update in brief, and in between we will be covering a great personality, that is Virangana Rani Avanti by Lodhi. So this is the brief about today's session. Let us start the session with the first main news, and the first main news is regarding the mangroves forest. And what is the context? The context is that the Supreme Court has upheld the High Court order which has said to remove the mangroves forest for Warsaw Bander Coastal Road. So it is a classical debate of environment versus development. So there will be a removal of around 45,000 mangroves trees, but Supreme Court has upheld the High Court order, and it is related to paper 3 where syllabus talks about sustainable development. So let us start this news and discuss the development. As we have already discussed the context, let us understand the development. So CGI, Chief Justice of India, has said while environment protection norms should be vigorously enforced, the High Court has also spoken about the need for ensuring the delicate balance with the development. So here Supreme Court is talking about the delicate balance between the environment and the development. So they have said that although the 45,000 mangroves trees will be removed, but there will be compensatory afforestation, and BMC will get report, or VMC will report about the afforestation regarding this. Okay, now let us understand about the mangroves forest and mangroves trees. First of all, what are mangroves forest? So they are salt tolerant plant communities that thrive in tropical and subtropical intertidal zones where land meets the sea. Okay, it is easy. Okay, this is India, suppose southern part of the India, and this is the Bay of Bengal and Arabian Sea. Okay, this part. So these forests are the salt tolerant plant which grow in the intertidal zone, that means on the coastal regions, and they are salt tolerant because the salt of the ocean water will be impacting them, and they are salt tolerant, that means they can thrive in the higher salt water as well. So that is the mangroves trees and the mangroves forest, and they are distributed in India around the coastal region. They span a total of 4,991 square kilometer across 9 states and 4 union territories. And what are these 9 states? Let us count from the western side. First state will be Gujarat, then we have Maharashtra, then Karnataka, Goa, Kerala, Tamil Nadu, Andhra Pradesh, Odisha, and West Bengal. These are the 9 states where mangroves forests are there. And West Bengal hold the largest share, which is followed by Gujarat and then Andaman and Nicobar. Okay, then it is followed by Andhra Pradesh and then Maharashtra. But here we are only talking about the three topmost state, which are West Bengal, which hold the largest, around 42.45 of the total mangroves forest of India, which is followed by Gujarat and then Andaman and Nicobar. And one more important fact, that is about Sundarbans. It is the world largest, not the Indian largest. It is the world largest continuous patch of mangroves forest. Okay. And in India, Sundarban is the largest and it is followed by Bhitarkanika. Mangroves forests are important. That's why in, I think in year 2020, 2015, 26th of July has been declared as International Mangroves Day. Why I am talking about International Mangroves Day? Because last year UPSC have asked question related to International Day in the prelims examination. As we are covering about mangroves, let us learn about the International Mangroves Day. That is 26th of July. And what are the threat to mangroves forest? That is unchecked destruction for infrastructure and development. The classical debate, that is environment versus development. The development is impacting the environment, and that is the mangroves forest here. And also the climate change and rising CO2 level are causing hypercapic hypoxia, which is a state of a depleted oxygen in mangroves water that severely threaten their function as a fish nurseries. Okay, so the region which is below the mangroves forest have very high roots. We will be talking about them in the next slide and why they have the high roots. But these high roots provide a nursery to the fishes by the nutrition and everything. But when there is depletion of CO2, these areas are not able to perform their function as a very thriving nature for fishes and the other marine species. Now let us move further and understand about the significance of the mangroves. First of all, they store up to 10x more carbon per acre when compared to the terrestrial tropical forest. Okay, how CO2 is stored in uh, trees? So during photosynthesis, they take CO2 from the atmosphere and they store it, and when there is when they die, it go with them. So that is the process how CO2 is stored in the trees. Then they act as a natural shield against storm. So suppose this is the Odisha coast and these are the mangroves. It is a very successful model, the Odisha mangroves model, to protect Odisha from cyclones. Okay, suppose cyclone is coming from this side, so they will act like natural barrier and remove the energy which will be required to move for the cyclone. Okay, and look at their roots. As we have discussed, they are most oftenly found in estuaries and deltas. So they store the sediments which are carried by the waters and function to stop the soil erosion. Okay, they stop the soil erosion due to their roots. Then they act like global marine life nurseries. Here you have to understand about a concept, that is ecotone. What is a ecotone? A transition zone between two forms of habitats. Here this is land habitat, here this is oceanic habitat. So most often than not, mangroves forest will be found in ecotone. And in ecotone there is another concept, that is edge effect. And what is the meaning of this edge effect? That means the species which will be there in the ecotone will be higher than the other two land forms or the two habitat, that is land and ocean. So these uh, marine species or these mangroves forest are found in the ecotone region. So there are higher number of species and they act like the global marine life nurseries. And they also master the adaptation in the harsh condition, as there will be harsh conditions such as the rising of the water level and that also salt water level. Okay, so what are their special adaptation? That is, first one is they are viviparous. What does that mean? Okay, so the seed grow on the tree itself before falling to the ground. Okay, and also look at their roots, they come above the water level, and roots require the oxygen. Okay, as there are water blockade below that, so they cannot fulfill their requirement of oxygen, so they come up. You might be thinking, why trees needs oxygen? Okay, they need CO2 for photosynthesis and they make carbohydrate, and for breaking that carbohydrate they require the oxygen. So this is about the adaptation technique of the mangroves forest. Now let us discuss the way forward, how we can protect them. First of all, there is requirement of strict enforcement of coastal regulation zone. Okay, you might be aware that according to the coastal regulation zone, our coastal region have been divided into 4 zones. And the first zone, that is divided into 1A and 1B. 1B, 1A are the region which are very ecologically sensitive, such as coral reefs, mangroves. 1B are the region between the high tidal zone and the low tidal zone. Then we have second zone, that is mostly for the municipal regions which are near to the coast. Then we have third zone, that is again divided into A and B based on the density of the population. Okay, these are most often than not are the rural region. Then we have zone 4, which is the area towards the water, and it is also divided into 2 zones. Okay, so these are the zones and these are very important for your prelims examination. Then there is also need for promotion of community driven restoration program like Mangroves Initiative for Shoreline Habitat and Tangible Income, that is MISTI initiative, which was announced in the budget of year I think 2023. Now let us look at the PYQ related to the first news. Okay, so the first PYQ is from the year 2015. Okay, if you want to solve the PYQ along with the class, please stop the class here, then you can solve the PYQ. So the first question is, which one of the following reason India has a combination of mangroves forest, evergreen forest and the deciduous forest? First one is North Coastal Andhra Pradesh. So there can be deciduous forest there can be mangroves forest there, but evergreen forest won't be there. Then South Western Bengal, again the same problem. Then Southern Saurashtra, again the same problem. But in the Andhra Pradesh in Andaman and the Nicobar Island, we can find evergreen forest, mangroves forest as well as the deciduous forest. So the answer would be D. So such type of thinking is required in the examination, because in most of the book you are reading, you won't find such interconnected information. Then look at a question from the year 2011. Two important river, one with its source in Jharkhand and known by a different name in Odisha, and another with its source in Odisha, merges at a place only a short distance from the coast of Bay of Bengal before flowing into the river, into the sea. This is an important site for wildlife and biodiversity and a protected area. Which one of the following could be this site? Select an option to attempt. A. Bitarkanika, Chandrapur onshore. B. Gopalpur onshore. C. D. Simlipal. So answer for this is Bitarkanika. And UPSC have also asked about Chandipur, that is related to the uh, fall of the tidal zones. That was asked in another year. So this was all about the first news. Let us move to the second news for today. The second news is about the MSMEs and especially their role in the defense sector of India. It is related to paper 3, internal security, and we can also interlink to the economy. So the development here is that the Defense Minister of India has highlighted that MSMEs are safeguarding the national interest by strengthening the defense capabilities at National Defense Industries Conclave of 2026. So basically, Defense Minister have said that MSMEs as well as the startups are safeguarding the national interest. But in this news, we are covering about the role of MSMEs in the defense sector. Before understanding this news, let us understand about what are MSMEs and what are their significance. So, recently their definition was changed: micro, small, medium enterprises, and now they are being classified based on investment and turnover. For micro, there can be investment up to 2.5 crore and turnover up to 10 crores. And for small, the investment can be up to 25 crores and the turnover up to 100 crores. And for medium, the investment can be up to 125 crore and turnover can be up to 500 crore. And they are very significant as 30% of Indian GDP is contributed by MSMEs and around 45% of Indian export is done by MSMEs. Now let us understand about startup. We will only discuss about the definition of startup here, and again we can cover in some other day. Okay. So what is the meaning of startup? Basically, these are the new companies, and a startup, a company of up to 10 years can be considered as a startup. And in any one of the year, the total turnover or the total production or the cost or the investment cannot be more than 100 crores. And it should be a new company. It should not be that there is a merger of two companies or splitting of a already existing company. And it should work toward the innovation and the development and the growth of the country. That is the meaning of the startup which is given by the government of India. Now let us look at this news and understand about the status of MSMEs in the defense sector of India. So these data is important for supporting the answers in the mains examination. First of all, about 8,000 MSMEs are actively participating in the defense sector, and now they hold the largest market share of armed forces procurement after the defense public sector undertaking and the large companies. So basically, they are standing at the third place from where armed forces are procuring their equipments and the needs. This is about the status of MSMEs in defense sector. Now, let us understand about role of MSMEs in defense sector. First of all, as you are aware, we have seen Operation Sindoor. The role of technology is increasing in the conflict. You might be seeing about the Iran and Israel and US conflict, where once Iran has attacked on the data center. And why it has attacked on the data center? Because US was using artificial intelligence of cloud to target the specific targets. That means they were using the information from the artificial intelligence of the cloud. And for artificial intelligence, there is a requirement of the data center. That's why Iran have attacked on the data centers. So that shows the role or the increasing role of the technologies in the conflicts. So here come the MSMEs. So they provide the cutting edge technologies to the defense sector, one of which is unmanned system and drones. So one of the company, that is Idea Force, supplies the Indian Army with the UAVs for the high altitude transport and the border surveillance. Okay, as Indian Army is protecting our borders at very high borders. Okay, in the western border as well as in the eastern border. So the UAE, which are made by the MSMEs, they can help them by providing the transport as well as the surveillance of the border region. Then they also help in cyber defense and communication, as companies like QNO Labs, QPI AI, and Signal Chips are delivering solutions ranging from the space surveillance and quantum secure communication. Okay, surveillance is very important as well as the communication, and the communication should not be deciphered by the enemies. So there is a requirement of the quantum secure communication that is very difficult to decipher. So MSMEs are also providing armed force with the quantum secure communication. Then they help in aerospace and the surveillance, as the startup like New Space focus on the aerospace technology for the stratospheric operation and the sensor fusion. And also they provide services in MRO, that is maintenance, repair, and overhaul. So they fulfill a growing segment of MRO services. These are the role most effectively played by MSMEs in the defense sector. Now let us look at the PYQ related to this news. Okay, so the PYQ is from the year 2023, and the question is, consider the following statement with reference to India. According to the Micro, Small and Medium Enterprises Development Act of 2006, the medium enterprises are those with the investment in plant and machinery between 15 and 25 crores. So the definition was recently changed, but at that time also this was not correct. This is the first statement. Okay. Then second statement is, all bank loans to the micro, small and medium enterprises qualify under the priority sector. Okay, so this is the first statement. This is the second statement. So it is true that all bank loans to MSMEs enterprises qualify under the priority sector loans. So the answer is B2 only. Okay, let us move to the third main news for today. The third main news is about the illegal gambling and the betting website app, as government has blocked around 300 illegal gambling and betting website, and it is related to paper 2, where syllabus talks about important aspect of governance. Let us understand this news. So here development is that this move aim to curb unlawful online gaming activities, which have negatively impacted around 45 crore people using more than 20,000 crores. Okay, see the impact of the online gaming activities that involve money. Last to last year, you might have seen a lot of ad such as Pokerbaji, Rummy Circle, Dream 11. they involve money, and they used to say that these games are games of skill. What is game of skill? That means for winning these games, there was a requirement for certain type of skill. But most often than not, they were games of chances. That means they were dependent on the luck and not on the skill. But they used to present them that they were game of skill. But now government has banned all the online games which involve money. It might be game of skills or game of chance. That was banned last year. And these apps which have been blocked are blocked under Article 69A of IT Act of 2000. Please be very clear. So these are blocked under 69A of IT Act of 2000. So here they have described about the online gaming. It involves placing bets on games of chance or skill. We have discussed what is game of skill and what is game of chance through internet platform, including sports betting, poker, casino games, and other games. So this is the development. Now let us move forward and understand about the key reason for curbing the unlawful activity, that is illegal gambling platform. First of all, they have economic implication. There can be illegal parallel economy. What is a parallel economy? A economy where they does not pay tax. So it will lead to rise in black money. Second implication, there can be money laundering. What is money laundering? Seeing or showing that a money which have been generated from the illegal sources such as drug trafficking, that can be shown as a legal money. That not clearly legal money, it clear showing them as a clean money. Okay. Then it has social implication as well. There was rising addiction. We have already discussed that around 45 crore people of India was impacted. So there is rising addiction, that is there is clinical disorder and persistent failure to resist. And this gaming disorder has been described as disease by WHO. The other social implication was harmful digital environment. So there was false promises of easy gains. Okay, you will be shown that you will be easily winning the money, so you will be participating more. Then there are ethical implication as well, as there will be imbibing immoral values, and it will lead to greed, laziness, and insensitivity. So there will be more focus on gaining the money, and it will increase the greed, as well as there will be increase in laziness, as you will be always using the online platform, and also it will lead to higher insensitivity. Why? Because you are not interacting with humans, you are interacting with a platform. Then it is against the Kantian philosophy. Okay, in Kantian philosophy, humans cannot be used as means. Okay, here others were used as a means to an end. Okay, so these are the reasons why there is need for curbing the unlawful activities in illegal gambling platforms. Okay, now let us move to the next slide and understand about the key initiative to curb such activity. First, the IT intermediary guidelines and the digital media ethics code rules of 2021, which was amended in 2023, laid down certain norms for online gaming platform. Then the Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita of 2023 under section 112 prescribe punishment for unauthorized betting and gambling. Then last year there was an act, that is Promotion and Regulation for of Online Gaming Act 2025. It prohibit online money game and online money gaming services. So all the online games are not banned under this act, but the online game which involve money, those are banned. There can be other online games such as educational online games. These types of online games are not banned under this act, but the online money games and online money gaming services are banned under this act, which was voted in by the government last year. Okay, you might have heard about Dream 11. Okay, it was in the news at that time. Okay, now let us move to the PYQ, and this topic is mostly related to the mains examination, and the question is from the year 2021, and the question is, discuss how emerging technologies and globalization contribute to the money laundering. Elaborate measures to tackle the problem of money laundering both at the national and the international level. So this was the question which is related to money laundering. Okay, we have discussed briefly, so one point can be written from our discussion in the answer of this question. Okay, now let us move to the next news, and the next news is related to microfinance institutions. As the government has launched the credit guarantee scheme for microfinance institution 2.0. In this news, we will be covering about the microfinance institution as well as about this scheme. And it is related to GS paper 3, where syllabus talks about inclusive growth. Let us discuss this news. So first of all, about this scheme. So what is its objective? Its objective is to provide guarantee coverage to eligible member lending institution for financing non-banking financial companies and MFIs for on lending to existing or a new small borrowers. Understand about this on lending. There can be two type of lending. One is on lending, another one is co-lending. Suppose this is bank and this is NBFC. It is for example. Bank is giving money to NBFC and NBFC is contributing money to the weaker section. Then it is on lending. And if they are lending together, that means that is co-lending. Okay. So NBFC MFI are non-deposit taking NBFCs with minimum 75% of its total asset deployed toward the microfinance loans. Here let us understand about non-deposit taking NBFCs, sorry, non-deposit taking. There are two classification for NBFCs. One is deposit taking NBFCs and non-deposit taking NBFCs. In deposit taking NBFCs, please be clear, it can only take the fixed deposit, okay, not the demand deposit. Please be very clear, NBFCs are defined into two categories by RBI on basis of the deposits. One is non-deposit taking NBFCs, that is clearly which clearly states that they cannot take the deposit from the public. One is deposit taking NBFCs. They can also take the fixed deposit but not the demand deposit. Okay, and what are these microfinance loans? These are the loans that are collateral free to the household which have a income of around 3 lakh rupees per annum. Okay, these are the microfinance loan up to a household which has a annual income of around 3 lakh rupees. Okay, That is the collateral free loan to a household with annual household income up to 3 lakh rupees. Okay. And the scheme will be managed and operated by National Credit Guarantee Trustee Company, which is a wholly owned by Department of Finance Services under the Ministry of Finance. Then its tenure is small. It is up to June 2026 or till guarantee of 20,000 crores are issued. So this is about this. Now let us discuss about the microfinance. What is the meaning of microfinance? So it refers to provision of small scale financial services which include loans, it includes saving, it includes insurance to individual and small businesses which lack uh, the services from the traditional banks. This is the meaning of microfinance. Please be very clear. Microfinance is not only about lending money. It is about saving. It is about giving loans. It is about the insurance. Okay. And what is the significance of microfinance in India? It acts as financial inclusion and a poverty alleviation measure as it fill gap which is left by traditional banks. So the reach of traditional bank cannot be at the every nook and the corner of India. That gap can be fulfilled by these microfinance institution. Then they support MSMEs and the entrepreneurship by providing tailored loan without mandatory collateral requirement. So what is a collateral? Okay, for taking loan, we have to show something to bank that if we are not able to pay the loan, that thing can be taken. They also help in women empowerment as women borrowers constitute around 95% in the microfinance sector, and it was given in the economic survey of 2025-26. And here there is one concept, that is self-help group, involuntary group or the informal voluntary group of around 10 to 20 people from same socio and economic background to solve a problem, that are self-help group. And the linkage of self-help group with the bank by NABARD is one of the largest initiative of related to a self-help group in the world. So self-help group mostly consist of women. So this was regarding about the self-help group. Okay, so these are the significance of microfinance in India. They help in financial inclusion and poverty alleviation, support MSMEs and entrepreneurship, as well as they help in women empowerment. This number is very high. That is, women borrowers constitute around 95% in the microfinance sector, and it is supported by the government data. It was given in the economic survey of 2025-26. Okay, now let us look at the challenges in the microfinance sector. First of all, most of the people take loan from 2 to 3 microfinance institutions, and it lead to overlending, borrowers over indebtedness, and rise in non-performing assets. Then they charge sometime higher interest rate when compared to bank, and it can be from 12% to up to 30%. So it defeats the whole purpose of the microfinance institution. Then there is limited availability of primary and the standard approach to assess household income. We have discussed that microfinance loan, there is a requirement of annual income of household up to 3 lakh rupees. So in India, there is limited availability of primary and standardized approach to assess the household income. Then they have high operational cost because they are sometimes in very local regions. Then there is lack of awareness of the financial services provided by the microfinance institutions. So these are the challenges in the microfinance sector. Now let us discuss one PYQ. Okay, we are mostly focusing on the PYQ of the prelims examination. Okay, if you uh, ask me about the mains exam PYQ, there are many time questions regarding to the financial inclusion, self-help group, where you can write about microfinance institutions. So let us solve the PYQ from the prelims examination. It is from the year 2011. So microfinance is the provision of financial services to people of low income group. This include both the consumer and the self-employed. These services rendered under services rendered under microfinance is are first credit facilities, second saving facilities, third insurance facilities, fourth fund transfer facilities. We have discussed the microfinance include the credit facilities, it also include the saving facilities, it also include the insurance facilities. We have not discussed that it also include the fund transfer facilities, but it include the fund transfer facilities. Even though you don't know about that it include the fund transfer facilities, you can point out to the answer, that is D 1, 2, 3 and 4. With this, we have completed the main news for today. Now let us discuss about the personality in news. Okay, so today's personality is Virangana Rani Avanti by Lodhi, and she is remembered on her martyrdom day. Okay, here we will be discussing about Rani Avanti by Lodhi. She was born in year 1831 and she died in 1858. Okay, and she was married to the Rajput prince Vikramaditya Singh Lodhi, who was a son of Raja Lakshman Singh of Ramgarh, which is there in present day Dindori. And after the death of Lakshman Singh, she was assumed the throne of Ramgarh state due to her husband ill health, and she won a battle against Britishers, that is the Battle of Kheri. It is in Mandla it is in Madhya Pradesh near to Mandla. And she participated in the revolt of 1857 and led her own army against the Britishers who sought to annex her state under doctrine of Lefsis. Okay, doctrine of Lefsis was introduced by Dalhousie. Okay, and she sacrificed her life amidst the British offensive, refusing to be captured. Okay, so see, her values include bravery. Other values include courageousness and love to the nation. Okay, and she was remembered on her martyrdom day. This was about the Rani Avanti by Lodhi. You should know about her contribution, in which war she have participated, and how in which war she died, and what is the timeline. Because in recent year UPSC have asked about the timelines of the great personalities. Okay, so with this we have completed the personality in news for today. Now let us discuss the quick update for today. The first quick update is about Media Certification and Monitoring Committee. Okay, you might be aware there has to be elections for the 5 legislative assembly of the states and UTs. So the context here is that the Election Commission of India have issued order requiring to apply the Media Certification and Monitoring Committee for pre-certification of all political advertisement on electronic as well as on social media. Okay, so the context is not that important in this news. We will be learning about the Media Certification and Monitoring Committee. It is created by Election Commission of India, and what is its purpose? Its purpose is to ensure compliance with EC Election Commission guidelines and preventing the paid news or the misleading content. What is paid news? Where some of the leader shows one of the news as a genuine news, but they have paid money to show that news, that is paid news, and strict vigil on suspected cases of paid news in the media and take suitable action. This is the purpose of the media certification and monitoring committee. Now let us move to the next quick update. The next quick update is about the global terrorism index of 2026, and the context here is that it was recently published by Institute for Economic and Peace. It is a Sydney based independent non-profit think tank. So here context is important, that who releases the global terrorism index, or which institution releases the global terrorism index. So let us look at the key finding of the index. So Pakistan has recorded the highest score because it was most impacted by the terrorism. Okay, so 70% of death from terrorism occurred in the 5 countries itself, that is Pakistan, Burkina Faso, Niger, and the Democratic Republic of Congo. So it has said that there is substantial fall in the terrorism. So death from the terrorism fell 28% and number of attacks declined by 22% at the global level. But the report have highlighted that there has been increased instance of terrorism at sub-regional levels or the regional levels. And the 4 deadliest terrorist organizations are Islamic State, Jamaat Nusrat al-Islam wal Muslimin, that is there in Western Africa, then Tehreek-e-Taliban Pakistan, that is there in Pakistan, and Al-Shabaab. And India's rank is 13th. Here rank is according to the impact of terrorism on a country. Okay, now let us move to the next news. The next news is about the index of core industries. So the context is the growth of combined ICI showed 2.3% in the February compared to 4.7 in January on an annual basis. So here the development is related to months, and it is very rare. Not only rare, it is impossible that UPSC won't ask about the increase or the comparison of months. Okay, so here the important aspect is index of core industries. So basically it covers the 8 core industries that include coal, crude oil, natural gas, refinery, fertilizer, steel, cement, and electricity, and they comprise, okay, 40% of the weight of the item in the index of industrial production. So the highest weightage is for the refinery products in these 8 core industries, and the lowest is for the fertilizers. Related to this information, there was one PYQ in the prelims examination, and this index of industrial production include the manufacturing industries, mining, and electricity. And this index of core industries is released by Office of Economic Advisor, that is there under Department for Promotion of Commerce and Industry under Ministry of Commerce. Now let us move to the next quick update. The next quick update is about the molecular clouds. So the context here is that the scientists have tracing small molecular cloud located near the Milky Way disk have seen the skeleton of the magnetic field surrounding them for the first time. Okay, so this Milky Way is our galaxy. Okay, and in this news we will be covering about molecular clouds. So what are molecular cloud? These are the interstellar cloud. You might have seen the Interstellar movie, where they crosses one galaxy to the another galaxy. So here it is talking about that these are interstellar cloud. That means they are between the 2 galaxies, okay, or different galaxies, comprises of gas and dust in which molecule can form, and most common of which is hydrogen, and which molecule or which element is the most abundant in universe? I'm not talking about atmosphere. I'm talking about universe. That is hydrogen. And it is generally thought that our sun formed from a similar molecular cloud by collapse of the cloud triggered by the nearby supernova. Recently, UPSC have asked question about supernova. Please read about supernova as well. And what is the key feature of molecular cloud? So they are opaque because they have internal dust grains. Now let us move to the next news. The next news is regarding the National Productivity Council. So this council has signed an agreement with Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change to act as an environment audit designated agency under the Environment Audit Rule of 2025. In this news, we will be covering about this body, that is National Productivity Council, and its genesis is there in the year 1958 to take research in productivity or to research regarding the productivity, and it is there under Ministry of uh, Commerce and Industry, and it is an autonomous organization under Department for Promotion and Industry and Internal Trade. So it is an autonomous organization under Department for Promotion and Industry and Internal Trade, which is there under Ministry of Commerce and Industry. And it is a constituent of Tokyo-based Asian Productivity Organization and intergovernmental body of which India is a founding member. Okay, so here we have covered about National Productivity Council. Now let us move to the next news. In the next news, we will be covering about scheme to promote manufacturing of sintered rare earth permanent magnet. And what is the context? That Ministry of Heavy Industry has invited bid to set up a integrated manufacturing facilities under this scheme. So here we will be understanding about REPM, rare earth permanent magnet. What are rare earth element? Okay, these are not rare in the nature, but their concentration is very low, so that become very difficult to extract them. That's why they are known as rare earth element. And what is permanent magnet? That is a magnet which have magnetic field even removing the external factors. Okay, so this is about rare earth permanent magnet. So they are one of the strongest type of permanent magnet made from the alloys of rare earth element. We have learned about what are rare earth element, and what is the example of rare earth permanent magnet? That is neodymium iron boron. And what are their application? They are applied in electronic vehicle, they are applied for renewable energy, in electronic, in aerospace, and in defense applications as well. Okay, now let us move to the next news. The next news is regarding the report, that is changing dynamics of glacier in the Hindu Kush Himalayan region. And the context is that the report, that is titled by Changing Dynamics of Glacier in the Hindu Kush Himalayan region from 1990 to 2020, was released by the International Center for Integrated Mountain Development. And what is this ICIMOD? It is an intergovernmental knowledge and learning center leading to the global effort to protect the Hindu Kush Himalayan region. Okay, so this Hindu Kush Himalayan region passes through 8 countries, including India, and it starts near the Afghanistan till the Myanmar. And India is a regional member country. Okay, we have learned that it passes, this Hindu Kush Himalayas passes through 8 countries. And what are the key findings of this report? The key finding is that the glacier numbers loss have doubled from the year 1990 and 2000 to 2010 and 2020. And there is consistent retreat. It has shown that there is 12% reduction in the total glacier area, and there is around 9% reduction in the ice reserve. And it has said that the Indus River basin has lost around 6% of its glacier area, while the Ganges and the Brahmaputra river basin experienced a reduction of 21% and the 16% respectively. So these are the key finding of this report. With this, we have completed the news today session for today. If you want to read further the current affairs initiative of Vision IAS, you can visit the digital current affairs website, and please solve the question which are visible on your screen. Thank you and all the best for your preparation.